While I was down there at SWVA doing the review of their auction, which you can see in the link that I'll put somewhere up on the top, I thought I'd grab Owen, their classic car specialist, and have a chat, because at the moment things seem to be a bit of a rough ride in the classic car auction market. So, Owen, you must be sort of about to poo your pants, aren't you? Because everyone's panicking, and even the great Matthewsons are saying, "Oh, it's a tough time," and you know what's going on.
I mean, it is a difficult time. I think you can see that across the market. It is difficult. I mean, we're yet to see, obviously our sales next week, so we're yet to see what it's going to look like. You know, fingers crossed for a good day on the rostrum. But yeah, it does. I'm looking across other auction houses and even in the private market as well. It does look like a lot of stuff is sticking around longer than it normally would do. But you know, we've been saying this for sort of 2 or 3 years now about the market dipping and dipping and dipping. I don't think it's dipped anymore. I just think we're at a point now where, you know, if something isn't quite right, or if there's not a buy there for it, it's just not going to sell. You know, so stuff's got to be priced right. Sellers got to be realistic, and buyers have got to get their wallets out. That's as simple as it is.
And the bits I picked out, you said about stuff's not going to sell, but is that down to the fact that vendors are expecting a little bit too much, and maybe they bought at a certain point, and maybe now it's not at that point?
There's still a bit of that about in the market, but I have to say, from collating this lot this time, I would say 95% of the vendors that I've dealt with have been realistic on their pricing, and have been receptive to the advice that we've given. So, yeah, there probably still is a bit of that, and obviously it depends who you're dealing with, but you know, it's a case-by-case thing, really.
And the interesting thing I know, walked around, there are an awful lot of cars here, and it's one thing I picked up on the video, that have got such long ownership, but people are then putting them to auction. I've never seen such a number of cars up to, and I think this TVR is what, 43, 47? TR6, sorry, before you shout at me. It's got a massively long history, and then people are putting it to auction, which historically you'd seem to get cars that have been owned 2, 3, 5 years, and people have flipped them back in. Are the vendors changing, do you think?
I think the vendors, classic auctions, I think, are becoming a thing where it's not just a case of like you owned it 2, 3, 4 years and you flip it back into the place you bought it from anymore. Classic auctions are becoming the place to sell. And because we're seeing more cars come to market than we've ever had before, despite the buying side and the selling side being not too great. There's more cars actually physically coming to market, and that is because I think classic auction is the way to sell, because you haven't got the hassle of selling privately. You haven't got people coming around kicking the tyres. We handle everything, you know, from start to finish: photography, videography, description writing, inquiries. We handle the whole lot. So I think, especially for somebody like the vendor of this car, for example, is an older gentleman in his 70s or 80s, and you know, isn't online. So putting it in auction is probably a more beneficial thing for him to do than list it on eBay. Or get his son to list it on eBay, such and such, you know. Yeah. So,
and do you feel that is the motivation for people to sell? Is that changing? Are people thinking, "Oh, if I don't sell it now, I'm going to lose a lot of money on it," or is it?
It might be a little bit of that. I think again that's something we have seen for the last 2 or 3 years. Not everybody, but gradually over time, more so, is people are putting the sold ticket on before maybe what they would have actually wanted for it, because they think, well, if I don't sell it for this now, you know, God knows where I could be. But like I say, I think we are at the baseline of what stuff makes. You know, I can't see, the prices haven't dropped anymore. It's just a case of stuff not actually selling, you know. So, yeah, I mean, vendors aren't holding on. I think the thing to point out is vendors are holding on to less now, you know, whereas before, you know, during the pandemic, for example, if something didn't make what they wanted, they would, well, I'll hold on to it for another 2 or 3 years and wait till it's worth that then, you know, whereas you get less of that now, I would say. And I think that also comes from our relationship with our vendors in terms of being, you know, realistic and transparent with them about the way the market is. So.
And the other thing I've noticed wandering around was there's quite a number of cars that instinctively I'm trying to think of a good example, and I should have done better prep. There's a few cars here, and I think one of them was possibly what the Daimler V8 250. Yeah. That's a car normally I would look at that, there'd be a reserve, but there's a few others that are no reserve. Yeah. And are people
again,
it's got to go.
Like you say, there's a few dotted around. Obviously, there's always sort of reasons for no reserve. Not that we try and push anybody into no reserve. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, no. people have all sorts of different reasons. I mean, that chap, for example, he's also got the A40 Sports in, the guy with the Daimler, and it's just the case of he has the two, he wants to get rid of both. He values the A40 more than he does the Daimler, so he's put a reserve on the A40 and he's letting the Daimler go at no reserve because he does want to get rid of both, but he's not as fussed about the Daimler as what he is about the A40. And it's the same for pretty much every other no reserve car in here. They just want it to go. They're at an age now where they're not enjoying it as much, or they're struggling to get in and out of it, and they're just ready to see it. And to be honest with you, no reserve is beneficial in a way that it does attract more interest than when you put a hefty estimate on there. It tracks people down. People will come and have a look, and you've got then a healthy bidding war on the car.
And do you see, is the you see in this bottoming, is the top end been affected proportionally more than the bottom end, or because it's supposedly cost of living crisis and everything else? And I did actually, a little bit of a plug for it at the start. I said actually it's really great. There's so many cars here that are estimated under £5,000.
Yes.
Which makes them to me affordable.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, to us, we always sort of pride ourselves on our variety. I think that's we have obviously the lower end of the scale, and we do deal with the higher end stuff as well. But at the end of the day, having something for everybody is what we aim to do. But to answer your question, the higher end stuff, I think it depends sort of how high end you're talking. I think collector cars, they're untouchable in a way because the people with the money to buy them aren't affected by the cost of living crisis. They don't care how much a full tank in your car is or whatever. They're not fussed about that. But I would say perhaps stuff that's maybe sub 50,000, is struggling a little bit. Mm-hmm. And like I say, the cheaper stuff I think is hit the ground, and it cannot go any lower because say an MGB for example, £5,000 for an MGB is worthwhile money. If it goes any lower than that, then you're practically giving it away. It's a car that is worth more than what it would be worth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there's one particular regular viewer of mine, Paul, is going to be sharpening his knife for me when I ask this question, or suggest it. Is that there's one or two cars here, particularly that Sunbeam Mark III, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the market like for those older 50 cars? Is it people say, oh, you're talking the market down, but I looked at it and I said when I reviewed it, I said the problem with it is I don't see an emotional attachment for anybody.
Yeah.
Like Dad had one, Granddad. It's too far away,
Yes.
and you'd only buy that kind of car. You're not going to buy it because it's like a TR6 or a TBR.
Yeah.
Where is the market for those 50s, 60s cars? And is there a drop-off point that's creeping?
I think that sort of ties into what we've been talking about. This lull that we're seeing is for an older generation of car. The 60s is struggling a little bit, perhaps even the 70s, depending on what you're looking at. And what we're seeing is a new generation of buyers come in. I did a short the other day on the 944. There's a younger generation of buyers that come into classics now, and yes, that's from the 80s, but that's affordable. Somebody my age, or even a little bit older than me, could buy that and insure it and put a classic car on the road. So that 80s onwards is where the market is at its strongest at the minute. To answer your point on the Sunbeam, it's difficult to say on the sort of 50s and earlier stuff, stuff pre-war, because every time I say, or you've heard Darren say on the rostrum before, the pre-war market's dead. You'll then have one that comes along and it just completely blows your expectations out the water because it's made more than what you expect it to. So I think there's still buyers out there for it, but there's less of them, and I think that's what's probably affecting what we're seeing.
Yeah. Well, being blunt, they're getting older.
Well,
bluntly, moving on, shall we say?
Yes, yeah.
So quickly to wrap up, then, what's your advice for buyers and sellers? Should they, what was it, hold? What would be the car equivalent of snog, marry, avoid? It would be like hold, sell,
scrap,
keep, scrap.
My advice to sellers would be to do your research, and not just eBay search it, because there's a lot of unrealistic people out there. But do your research. Try and look at auction results, because I think that always gives you a good idea of what sort of prices you're looking at. Take advice on board. Doesn't always have to be from an auctioneer like myself. I would speak to people within clubs, other enthusiasts. Just make sure you're well informed on the value of your vehicle, but try and be as realistic as possible, because that's what this market needs at the minute. And I don't think that holding on to something like a TR6 is going to make you more money in the end of it. Without sounding blunt, you are probably better off parting ways with it now than holding on to it for even longer. my advice to buyers would be is to make the most of it. You know, make the most of being able to get into the terrific hobby that is classic cars and performance cars as well, but that is classic cars at an affordable price, because this is what we were all screaming about during the pandemic is, oh, it's become unaffordable, you know, it's difficult to be able to get into this hobby. Now prices are more affordable, let's do it, let's get into it, let's save this hobby, let's make it, well, it's one of the most money-earning hobbies for the government anyway. I think I saw the other day it's worth 7 billion or something like that to the UK economy. So let's keep it going. Let's get the younger generation involved, and yeah, let's just carry on doing what we do because we love to do it.
Brilliant. As ever, thanks for your time,
No
Owen.
problem
It's
at
really
all.
appreciated. And I hope that's been of some interest to you at home and maybe answered some of the questions you had about where the market's heading. And as ever, if you've enjoyed it, please hit like and hit subscribe.